Okay, so 28 years later, I guess. Um, so I watched the two other movies. I think it was last year because um it was on my watch list for quite some time. I heard it was a zombie movie and it was a good zombie movie. So that's when I watched the two first movies, which were 28 days later and 28 weeks later. And I was totally unaware that a third movie was being made. Um, but yeah, I just like watched those two and then waited for the third movie. Um, just to give some background, 28 days later tells a story of a zombie outbreak 28 days after it started. And we follow this guy that just woke up from a coma. And like he has no idea what's going on, and the audience also does not. So like we kind of experience things from his point of view because he's lost and so are we. And the main idea of the movie, the main goal of the movie is for the main characters to get to this army base because they hear a radio transmission saying like, oh, this place, we have the army on this place and it's secure, and you can just come here. And that's like what they do for the entire movie. And the main difference from this movie to other movies, at least to other zombie movies made at the same time, is that on 28 days later, the zombies run, which for today, it's kind of okay, like it's nothing new. There is nothing new on zombies running, but on that time, at least what I can remember of movies that I saw from kind of the same time period, 28 days later was, if not the first, one of the first movies to make zombies fast. So that was like the main difference from the rest. Kind of a okayish movie. I kind of like it for the most part, but the ending is kind of lame because, well, it's not heavy spoilers, but they just change the tone of the movie by a lot for like the final confrontation. Like the entirety of the movie is kind of slow paced, and then towards the end, like on the final quote unquote battle, things start to like happen really really fast. But it's an okay movie. And then there is 28 weeks later, which is 28 weeks after the outbreak. Oh, also, yeah, now it's gonna be heavy spoilers for the first movie. The first movie, since the main character have no idea what's going on, and we see the story from his perspective, we also don't know what's going on. And the movie ends like we don't know if it's only on the United Kingdom or if the entire world is having this zombie problem. But the movie ends with a military airplane flying over the main cast. So we know that there is a safe place somewhere. And then for the second movie, the world comes together to kind of recover the United Kingdom because, yeah, the zombies only took over the United Kingdom. So the entire world unites to like, Jesus Christ, like, my eyes itching a lot. So the entire world just gets together to try to recover the United Kingdom, and they manage to like make a part of it safe, and then they start to move people, because like that's the main goal, to push back the zombies and make room for people to get back to the country and get back to their houses. And again, heavy spoilers now for the second movie. But if you're watching a video about the third movie, I guess you already watched the previous two. But anyway, I should like take notes for the timestamps. But anyway, two kids decides to break the safe zone barrier, and they bring zombies to the from the out of the containment area towards the area that people are living, and that's the second movie. And at some point we find out that one of the kids it's immune to the virus, so there is people that are not affected by it, and then the goal becomes to take this kid to a safe place. That's like the second movie. And then 6:52 is the timestamp. And now we are on the third movie, which is 28 years later, which takes place 28 years after the zombie outbreak. We can split this movie into two halves. The first half is just setting up the tone of the movie, just like for us to understand what's going on in the world at this time, 28 years after the outbreak. And on the first half is it's where I have the most issues with this movie, because first of all, it takes too much time to set up the tone. So the first half, it's basically the father and his son. Well, before that, we again don't know what's happening in the world. So we know there is this there's this island that is safe and people is like living, and there is the mainland of the United Kingdom, which is infected. That's what we know. And there is this father and the son that lives on this island, and for the first half it's just they leave the island to explore the mainland to try to find resources, and it just takes too much time setting up the tone of the movie. And also, I don't know, we see too much stuff on the first half that does not come up again in the second part of the movie. Like, the movie starts with a church, with zombies breaking into a church, so there is kind of some Christianity elements in there, but we don't see that again for the entirety of the movie. It's just that one scene at the beginning. But then again, going back to the father and his son, they go to the mainland because there is kind of a rite of passage for the kids, and that's what they are gonna do on the mainland. It kind of made me think of Attack on Titan, because there is this scene of the two guys leaving this island and people are just cheering them up, and that kind of happens during some moments of Attack on Titan, which is kind of cool, but man, I don't know, it's just not the same. There is not the same impact that there is on Attack on Titan. But anyway, before they leave, this elder woman advise them that there is a rule of no rescues. So if one of them or both of them get lost in the mainland, no one is allowed to go look after them. And on the entirety of the first half of the movie, this is the only element that will come up later. So you're not allowed to go out looking for someone else. There is some war parallels that never get developed. When the two guys are leaving this island, there is they show some footage of medieval wars, and there is kind of a poem also that like gets read by a woman. I don't know the name of the poem, but it's about war, and there is this part that keeps repeating the word boots over and over. But it's a war poem. But again, they never developed that. It's just this one part of the movie that has some war parallels. I don't even think I can call it a parallel. It's just like a nod. It's just a shy nod. Like, oh, war. And that's it. But anyway, they get to the mainland. They get like trapped into a house because there is some alpha zombies that can kind of control other zombies. So they get like surrounded by zombies and then they hide in this house for some time. They manage to get out of it. And when they get back to the island, there is like this party. Because again, going to the mainland is kind of a rite of passage. So there is this party to like celebrate that they came back alive. And again, there is like another scene that establishes that the father is cheating on his wife because his wife is very sick. We don't know what she has, but she's just very sick. She can barely leave her bed, so the father starts to cheat on his wife, and the son sees it, and he gets mad on his father about it. But again, there is no development to that. It's just like, hey, the father is cheating, and now the son has a reason to be mad at his father. But again, it's like never gets developed. And then like we get to the second part of the movie. The son sees the father cheating on his mother, and then he gets mad, and then he decides that he will try to help his mother by himself. So he takes his mother and he leaves the island without anyone knowing to go to the mainland, because there is this doctor on the mainland which no one contacted because they think that the doctor is insane. But like the kid sees this doctor as his only hope to maybe find a cure for his mother. So the kid breaks the rules and he leaves the island on his own. And then it's something that I find it odd, which is like the father just says like, meh, it is what it is. The father never goes after the kid. Sure, there is the rule that says that no one is allowed to leave the island to look for someone else, but like, I don't know, I feel like the father could have find a way to like escape the island, because like his kid was able to do so. So like he should be able to find a way to leave the island to go look for his kid. But he just do not do that. Like, and there is no redemption arc for the father. He's just like, he cheated on his wife and that's it. There is no extra development on that. But then there is like the second half. So the second half is the kid and his mother looking for this doctor, and that's about it. At some point we'll see the army, because modern movies have to put the army somewhere, right? Like Monster Hunter movie, there is the army in there, because I don't know, I guess they just thought that the audience would be dumb enough to not comprehend the movie if they didn't put the American army in there. So, well, 28 years later, same thing. At some point, the army will show up and they will do nothing that useful. There is one guy that will help to save the kid and his mother, but that's about it. No proper development again. Also, why the hell is the army using 2 flashlights on each side of their heads? That was something that I kept thinking the entire time. The soldiers have helmets, and they have flashlights attached to the helmets. And there is one flashlight on each side of the helmet, and they turn both of them on at the same time. Like, just to waste battery, I guess. Because one flashlight would be enough. But no, they decided to attach 2 flashlights, one on each side of the helmet. And there is multiple soldiers. And every time they get to a place that is just a little bit dark, all of them will turn both flashlights on. And that looks so dumb in the movie. I don't know what they were thinking when they like took that decision to make the soldiers have 2 flashlights each and like on the sides of their helmets. But anyway, going back to the movie, there is a baby birth scene, because the son and his mother find a infected woman that is pregnant, and the mother helps this infected woman to deliver the baby, and the baby is not infected. Which again, like, I feel like in this video I'm just like going from one weird point to another. But that's how the movie feels like. It's just a bunch of different scenes put together. So like, there isn't even much to talk about them. Like, oh, the army show up and they die. There is this baby birth scene, and then like it gets solved in 5 minutes or less. But anyway, there is this infected woman that delivers a baby, and then we find out that the alpha zombie that show up, like, not the one that show up in the beginning of the movie, because there are multiple alphas, but there is an alpha zombie that impregnated this zombie. So this kid is his, like the baby is his. So he sees that the mother has the baby, so then he starts to run towards the mother. But then again, the doctor shows up. The doctor that the kid is looking for shows up, and he deals with this alpha. So like, you see, it's like things happen and then they just get solved right after it. There is a scene where the kid and the mother are sleeping, and then there is this low zombie that shows up and he's moving towards the kid. So there is kind of a suspense. There is like this horror idea of like, maybe the zombie will get to the kid right? But then right after it, someone shows up and deals with the zombie, and then now we have a mystery, like who killed the zombie, because the kid was sleeping and the mother was also asleep. So someone else, a third person, showed up and saved them. But then right after, the movie reveals that it was the mother. She woke up and then she killed this zombie. But since she's sick, she has no memory of it. So it's like every time something happens, and then it just gets solved right after. So there is no proper development to nothing in this movie. And the baby scene is the same. And again, it's nothing new. Like, I saw that before on Army of the Dead. And on Army of the Dead, it was way better because there was a proper development to the zombie pregnancy. And again, another thing that I just couldn't stop thinking. Where are the kids from the previous movie? Or like, where are the people that are immune to the zombie virus? Because on the previous movie, on 28 weeks later, it gets established that some people cannot be infected. But on this movie, they just forgot about it. And instead of having these people that are not infected, they just developed this baby that, like, oh, a zombie got pregnant and their baby is not like infected. So like this is the new thing. They just forgot about people that are naturally immune, and now they are like developing the story towards this direction of like zombies can get pregnant and their babies will not be infected or whatever. So I feel like they just, I don't know, they just throw the idea of the previous movie in the trash and they just say, yeah, we're not moving on with that. Which I don't really appreciate, because I don't know. It's kind of the same that happened with the Alien franchise. Again, there is a video where I talk about it, but I don't want you to like have to go watch another 15 minutes long. So the idea of Alien franchise is that there was a natural development. And then when we got to Prometheus, they decided to show what happened before. But then the fans didn't like it, and then they just threw everything in the trash and decided to start over. That's like the idea. And so on Alien, we can see that with the engineers. That on Prometheus, there is this mystery surrounding the engineers, but then on the very next movie, Covenant, they just decide to kill every engineer. And then on the next movie, which is Romuli, I think, they decided to introduce the engineers again. So every movie they just decided to go to a different direction. And that's like what I felt when I saw the baby in this movie. Like, where are the people that are naturally immune to the virus? They don't show up in this movie. And instead we have this baby that is not infected. But again, moving on. The doctor show up, he deals with the alpha zombie, and then I have no complaints. Once the doctor shows up, I have no more complaints about this movie. Except that the movie could have been a short. It could have been a short story. Like, I actually took notes. If you want to have a good story, you need to watch the movie from 1 hour and 23 minutes up to 1 hour and 41 minutes and 20 seconds. That's a perfect short story. Because again, as I said, the first half of the movie is just to set up the tone, and they will throw a bunch of stuff at you. Like, they will throw Christianity, they will throw the war parallels, they will throw like those some video inserts about medieval war, and nothing of that gets developed. There will be the cheating case for the father that will not be developed. The island will not be developed. We don't see the island anymore. Like from like on the second half of the movie, we don't see the island anymore. So nothing on the first half gets developed. It's just to set up the tone, and it takes too much time. Then on the second half of the movie, we just move from one problem to another. Like they will introduce a problem, and then they will solve it right after. And then they will introduce another problem and solve it right after. And that keeps repeating. But then once we find the doctor, on 1 hour and 23 minutes, then we have a short story, and we have a nice, well-developed short story, which is a story about death, grief, and moving on. That's like, because the doctor manages to analyze the mother, and he finds out that she has cancer. And then, but then like, we are in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, and the United Kingdom is under quarantine. Also, that's another problem, because on the previous movie, we see that the zombies managed to leave the United Kingdom. And if I remember correctly, there is like on the last scenes of the 28 weeks later, we see zombies on France. I think it's on France. So they managed to leave the UK. But then on this third movie, they just give up on that idea. And then they just go back to, oh, no, it's just the UK. The entire rest of the world is fine. But anyway, the UK is quarantined, and there is no way for this doctor to treat the mother's cancer. So then that's why I say it's like a short story about death, grief, and moving on, because now there is nothing they can do. And the mother takes the decision to end her life. Instead of suffering from cancer, she asks the doctor to kill her. So the doctor gives some anesthesia to the kid, so he does not try to fight back his mother's wishes, because he still has some hope that he can save his mother somehow. So the doctor gives some anesthesia to the kid, so the kid does not fight back. He kills the mother, and then there is an entire ritual that he does with the kid, because he has kind of a temple where he puts like the skulls of people that died on this pile. So there is kind of a ritual. He gives the mother's skull to the kid, for the kid to like put the skull at a place like on this kind of a temple. So that's why I say it's a short story about death, grief, and moving on, and accepting death, because that's what we see. We see from like 1 hour and 23 minutes to 1 hour 41 minutes and 20 seconds. We see the kid and the mother finding the doctor analyzing the mother and finding out she has cancer, and there is no way to treat that. And then the mother decides to like end her life. And then now we see the kid like kind of suffering the loss of his mother for a while, and then accepting that, and then moving on. So like, if you want to have a really nice story, you can just watch this segment of the movie that I just told you, because that's really well done. And it's really different from the rest, because now we actually have time for things to set up. Like, It's not like a problem that gets solved and then another problem. We have a proper time for things to develop during this short amount of time, during this like 20-ish minutes of movie. And I don't know, like the movie could have been just that. Like it could have been just the second half, just the kid and his mother trying to find the doctor. And like things could have been properly developed. Because now we would have time for that. Because like we wouldn't have the entire first half of the movie. So now we have more time to develop stuff. I still think that there would be a need to rewrite a bunch of stuff, to like everything be at the same level of this moment that I just described. But yeah, I can see that working. I just like to not say I have no complaints about this moment after they find the doctor. There is a scene at the very end which is connected to the Christianity scene that we see on the beginning of the movie, but that adds nothing to the story. It's just to set up the sequel, which is 20 years later, The Bone Temple, which I still didn't watch it, and I don't know if I will, because this one was just terrible. So I don't know, maybe there is a chance that these two movies could have been just one. Like if they removed the first half of 28 years later, that it's like 50 minutes that they could have removed, and then just like they could just made the Bone Temple a bit shorter and then mash both movies together. Because like I feel like if this movie has this problem of a bunch of scenes that just didn't have enough purpose to be in the movie, I have a strong feeling that Bone Temple will have the same issue. So I guess those could have been a single movie, but of course I need to watch the Bone Temple, which I don't think I'll do. But yeah, that's like my main thoughts about this movie. It could have been way shorter. It could have been just the second half of the movie and then things get properly developed instead of we just jumping from one problem to the next. Or it could have been just a short story, because it's great. The moment where we finally find the doctor up until the moment where the kid accepts his mother's death is just perfect. I have no complaints about that part. So it could have been just that. And just like a short story, which would be great. But yeah, I don't know, final thoughts. I guess that's it. The movie also shows a lot where it's on good. It just does not hold the mystery for much longer. Like, there is a scene at the very beginning where we see a deer head on top of a tree, and then the father just say, oh, it must have been a work of a alpha zombie. And then the movie just shows us the alpha zombie, ripping the deer head off and putting on the tree. It's like the movie shows too much. It like there is no mystery to it. Again, the scene that I mentioned before where the mother kills a zombie, it's another one. Like on the first scene, the kid and the mother are sleeping, and then a zombie is walking towards them, and then someone else kills the zombie. But then right after it, the movie reveals that it was the mother. So like it does not hold the mystery. There is a lot of dynamic editing, which is terrible. most of it is on the first half. Again, it's like the war videos that they just shows us. On the first half, there is these videos about medieval war that they just like, I don't know how to explain. They just it's kind of bleak on the screen, quote unquote. Like they show we are seeing the movie and then we see this medieval war scene, and then we get back to the movie. Some zombie kills. The father and the kid will kill some zombies, and we'll see the deaths through multiple angles. Like we'll see the death, and then sorry, we'll see the zombie being killed, and then we'll see the same death through another angle. Which I don't know, it just does not fit the aesthetics of the movie, I guess. And we only see that, to make matters worse, we only see that on the first half. So it feels like the movie was edited by two different groups of people. One was in charge of the first half, and another group was in charge of the second half. And the first half has a very dynamic editing, which I don't know, I just find it odd. The night scenes, which is like the previous movie that I watched was Escape from New York, and that movie has so many great night scenes that I made a video just to talk about that. There is a video that I don't know when I'm gonna release, but I think I'm gonna release before this one. But anyway, Escape from New York has so great night scenes that I made an entire video just to talk about that. And then I went to 28 years later, and it's just terrible. It's modern movies night scenes where you will see nothing. It's just everything's just pitch black. So yeah, there is that problem. There is the time skip. There is too big. I don't know why they went to 28 years later instead of 28 months later. Because like, I don't know. It's just that the time skip is just too great. And I feel like a lot got lost in there. Because again, in the previous movie, we see that the zombies are taking up France. And then in this one, at the beginning of the movie, there is just a text on the screen that says like, oh, the global army was able to push the zombies back to the United Kingdom, and that's just it. So we are missing some piece of story in there. Because on the first movie, the zombies are just on the United Kingdom. For the second movie, again, the zombies are just on the United Kingdom, but it's like the global army was able to push the zombies back. And instead of being on the entirety of the country, the zombies are contained in a small part of the country. But then at the end of the movie, we see that the zombies managed to flee the United Kingdom. And they are running towards other countries. And then on the third movie, it's just like, oh yeah, the global army managed to push back. So like, I don't know, I feel like we are missing a lot in there. But yeah, last but most important, there is the complete disregard for the progress of the previous movie. Which is what I say, like, where are the naturally immune people? Like, on the second movie, there is the kids that are immune to the zombie virus, and then on this one, they just forget about it. And instead we have the baby, the zombies baby, they are not infected. Like, maybe an argument can be made that this baby is naturally immune. Like, if a zombie gets pregnant, the baby will be also infected. But like, this one is not infected because he's naturally immune to the zombie virus. just like the kids from the previous movie. But I don't know, I feel like that's kind of a stretch, you know? And of course, there is the ending of the other movie that just gets completely ignored. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, I felt like I was expecting more from this movie, I guess. And they just like, they just like weren't able to deliver. And that's like, that's it. That's 28 years later, and I don't know, it's so bad that I don't feel like I'm gonna watch the next one, the Bone Temple. That's like enough for me.